Welcome to our podcast, Hiking in Heels, with life coach Teresa Coltrane and full-time mum and writer Jessica Heedy Gandolfi. Hiking through life can sometimes feel like we are literally hiking in our heels.
As women in today's modern world, the pressure to tick all the social boxes is at its peak. Being perfect, being strong, having it all together, the list goes on. Inspired by our own journeys and life struggles, we have come together, and we are on a mission to empower other women to overcome their fears and tap into their greatness.
With special guests and our own personal stories, our aim is to bring light and healing to inspire you to take your life to the next level. As Coco Chanel once said, keep your head, heels, and standards high.
We invite you to kick off your heels, relax, and enjoy the show.
She'd say, well, women don't know how strong they are until they're put in hot water.
Welcome back. This is episode 7. We are so excited about today's show. It totally encompasses everything we are working to create.
From sound baths to storytelling rum cocktails, sacred geometry, organic foods from farm to table, to alchemy and biodynamic farming. There are so many hidden gems you will not want to cut this episode short.
You don't want to miss it.
Today we are joined by the creative visionary and culinary goddess forces behind the Pono Burger Brand, MAKANI CARZINO, owner and chef of Pono Burger in Santa Monica, MAKANI Venice, and Ultimate Burger Kailua, Kona in Hawaii, and Andrea Heindel, who works alongside MAKANI as Director of Sales and Marketing for the brand.
Growing up on the big island of Hawaii, the food sustainability seed was planted within MAKANI at a very young age. Her parents taught her the value of sourcing and eating local. From papayas to coconuts to fresh caught fish, MAKANI now combines her vision for healthy and sustainable eating with the Hawaiian concept of pono, which means to do things the right way or with integrity.
Andrea Heindel, a lifelong Palisadian, has always had a talent for selling and serving customers, both here and abroad, with a career that originated in advertising sales and spanned the globe from Prague to the USA. Andrea now manages MAKANI's vision of building healthy and sustainable eating within the Hawaiian concept of pono. Enjoy the show.
I think my fondest memories of being a child is watching my father, someone throw the net and bring in, the uhu and the menpachi and all these beautiful fish. And I just thought everything was brightly colored in the world like that. And you don't realize it until you step away, and you go to Germany or you go to another place where it's like, well, where's all the color? Where is all the, it's very vibrant and rich, and there's such a deep connection to the ocean and the land, and everybody knows it. They know when it's high tide, they know when it's a full moon, they know. And so growing up that way, you just think like, well, everybody has that, And then you realize, yeah, there's pockets. You find your tribe. I found it in San Francisco. I found it in Bali. You find your people, but you have to look a little bit. You know what I mean? I think that anything worth finding takes time, and it takes a little bit of effort, and the intention has to be there. You have to be very clear in your intention of wanting to find those people that care about the rhythms of the sea and the cycles of the moon, and how that correlates to our bodies and the food that we eat and everything that we do, because we're all connected in a divine way. Mm-hmm. So the same way that, most of my memories, I grew up at Kaloko Pond. This was King Kamehameha the First. This was his favorite place to come and rest after he would go to battle with Maui or Oahu.
And this is on the Big Island?
This is on the Big Island. I was born in Kealakekua on July 4th at 4:44. So when you talk about numbers, and it's all very divinely connected and so beautiful, because as a child I didn't understand what any of that meant, but the older you get and the more you sit in circles of goddess women, you share and you realize like, oh, okay, that's what that means. Thank you. Because how can you be grateful if you don't know? So it's the same way, growing up around so much beauty and magic, I just thought that was what everybody's experience was. And then you step away and it's like, you have to remove yourself from that bubble in order to appreciate it. And there, you find that beauty wherever you go, whether it's, you know, underwater with your kids laughing and the dolphins playing and looking for shells, or I don't know, anything saltwater is just my kind of alchemy, I suppose, you know.
I'm just listening to you and I've just been transported into this magical world under the ocean with the dolphins and the shells.
I know, I'm like, who wouldn't want their food to be created by somebody with this energy and this mindfulness into the food? And that's actually something I was like thinking about. I wanted to know what was making the food so special at your restaurants, and now I understand. And that's really beautiful. I mean, who wouldn't want, you know, their food to have that much thought and that much love and that much creation behind it? Because we're all one. We were created by the same divine energy that created the sun, the moon, the stars, the water. We're all a part of that, and to speak the same language and create your food and create life with that, I don't know, it's really beautiful. I love it.
So when you started Pono originally, was that your whole vision behind that initial venture, to bring sort of conscious, sustainable eating, healthy eating, and to bring all of that flavor and beauty to the table?
I think it begins with what you know as a child, you know, and being connected and watching. You know, you learn language, you learn to be kind, you learn to be humble, you learn to be fierce because of the environment and the people that you're surrounded with, right? So my father bought me a 3-prong. You know, I was spearing my own fish at 9 and cleaning it, and, you know, he was teaching me how to use the back of the spoons to take the scales off. And I grew up in a shack, literally, where we didn't have indoor plumbing. My father didn't believe in killing trees, so there was a coconut that grew right through the middle of it. That if you didn't trim the coconuts, it would wake you up from a dead sleep, and you just thought, oh my God, I'm going to die, because they would land on the tin roof, and it was just the scariest sound in the whole place. But the other side was when it would rain at the beach, and the sound of rain hitting a tin roof and the smell that creates is just, it's so beautiful. So, you know, you take those flavors, ingredients. It's why I cook with wood here. It's why I source things from families versus big corporations. You know, I could buy cheaper ingredients from the huge corporations, but I choose to buy them from families, because when you connect to the families, they're doing it because they love it. It's their passion, and the end result is something really special. It tastes better, it feels better. You know, we create ripples when we make those decisions that are profound. And now, as a mom, that's what I want to pass on to Phoenix. That's what I want to pass on to your children. You know, if I can inspire one person to step a little bit lighter and only take what you need, which is how I was taught. You know, if you throw the net and you catch, or, you know, if you free dive and you take the lobster, if she's pregnant, you put her back. You don't take her. If they're small, you put them back, right? You only take what you need. And when you look, it's like, well, we're the only living beings that take more than what we're needing.
Exactly.
And things are out of balance. The ocean's in trouble. Mama Gaia's in trouble. So how do we shift it back a little bit, you know? And my husband just totaled my car, so I just got an electric car. And all these things, it's like, oh, okay, well then you just make a little bit greener choice than before. You know, I mean, that's kind of the evolution for me, is just to say, oh, okay, well, I could do a little bit better here. Or, you know, the restaurant in Santa Monica, it's a green restaurant. We went through the certification. Was not an easy task, you know, but it's things like trying to change the habits of your customers, and not to be disrespectful, but you offer them water, and if you're thirsty, I bring you water. But if you prefer a green tea or a milkshake or whatever it is that you're needing, I'm happy to bring that. But that knee jerk to just fill water and put it on the table, do we need to do that? Do we need to just walk into a room and turn the lights on? If we need it, yes. And so I think that's the point, is to just ask yourself, is it something that I need, or is it something that I want?
Yeah.
And both are perfectly natural and fine. But just to have the awareness of the difference, I think, is a nice place to be, especially in the restaurant world where we consume and use so much. I come from French kitchens and Japanese kitchens where you see such a waste of product and water and it's like, and then you go outside and there's people that are hungry. I got in trouble in culinary school. I studied in San Francisco, and I used to ride the bus. I was living in on Haight Street, and I would take 2 buses to get to school. And there was this cool old dude that I would bring him a pain au chocolat, or if I had a banana or a muffin or whatever I had, I would give it to him. And someone told on me at school. I got ratted out, and I got called into the office. They were like, "Are you feeding the homeless?" I said, "I don't see how that's any of your business, number one, you know." And I was spending a small fortune on a private tuition. I'm the first one to go to college. My father was illiterate. He never finished the 8th grade. He came from a school where they still beat kids. Well, my father was 6'2". So when his teacher took the paddle, my father defended himself and walked out and never finished. My mom finished high school, but I was the first one in my family to actually go to college. So it was kind of a big deal. And to be standing there being told that you can't feed people when we're studying to feed people was such, I just was thinking, you've got to be kidding me. This is so bizarre. And so we set it up so that I had this guy sign a document, because one of my friends was in law school. Sign a document. I brought it back and said, this will cover your okole in the event that he wants to sue anybody. He cannot, and I can continue to feed him. And it was kind of the first teaching for me of like, we are capable of such greatness, and we're capable of such fear that we're paralyzed to never do anything, where you just go to sleep. What are you going to choose? I like to be awake. I like to be of service. And part of my meditation and prayer in the morning is thank you. You know, it's a place of gratitude. It's ho'oponopono. Thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I washed the slate clean. How can I be of service? Show me the path of love. Show me what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. And then look at all these beautiful women that I'm sitting with, that I get to be a voice and a piece of the community to then, okay, what are we doing next, ladies? How do we inspire? How do we bring joy? How do we heal ourselves so then we can be a source of healing?
Exactly.
Yeah. I like how you found an alternate way to still kind of enjoy your process of helping feed that man, because they told you no and you could have easily just stopped, but you thought about it and you were conscious, like you said, you were awake, and you figured out an option to make it happen. And so I just wanted to touch on that, because I feel like most people would just stop, or they would be like, give up.
Because the fear maybe would
because the fear, like you were saying, they were like, oh, I was just told,
going.
no, I can't, like, never mind. But you were like, no, this is important to me. I will find a way to do it. And you did. And I think that's amazing.
Thank you. I think that they're tests, that we are given opportunities to rise to the occasion, or to go under our sheets and you know, and to be fair, I've had many days where I've put my head under the pillow. I had a 2-year-old, I was in the hospital for 2.5 years, Ava, and there were a lot of days where I was like, I'm not strong enough to do this. I'm not, she thinks I'm some kind of warrior creature that, and you know, I was like, I went to school to study culinary art and wine, and they're asking me about gastroenterology and cardiology. She had holes in her heart. She was preemie. And I was thinking, I'm supposed to answer questions that I don't have the training or the background to answer these questions. And so you do, you know, and then you have the doctor saying, oh, well, can I give you this pill? Because I get that it's painful. Can I give you this pill? Because I know that you're not sleeping at night. And I thought, no, I'm being asked to rise. I'm being asked to go through my darkest hour, and do I do it awake? And that's when I was shown, like, well, this is the lotus, right? It's coming up through the muddy water, and it's dark, and you don't know where you're going, and you're cold, and you're scared, and you want your mom. And I would call my mom, and she would say, women are like tea, darling. I'd say, what? What's that mean? And she'd say, well, women don't know how strong they are until they're put in hot water.
Oh, I love that.
And I'd say, thank you, Mama. And she'd say, and this child is not going to give you anything that you can't handle. And I'd say, okay. And I would sit down and I would pray.
Yeah.
And then this healer walked in and gave me, the book of Carolyn Mai's Sacred Contracts. And I started to read it, and it was like, oh, okay. And the teaching is like, we're taught as women to sacrifice. We're taught to, that things are going to be challenging, and you make sacrifices as a mama, you make sacrifices as a wife, you make sacrifices in your career, because don't expect to be paid the same equal amount that the men are in the culinary world, or, the modeling world, or, I worked on dive boats, and I was like, I'm a good deckhand, I should be paid just as much as those guys, and yet, the teaching for me is we don't ask for help or for guidance. We're taught like, well, we can do this on our own. Mm-hmm. And what I'm realizing is, yes, I can do this by myself. I've proven that I can be independent. I've proven that I can, forge a path and blaze a trail that others have not. But I don't have to. Mm-hmm. I can call on all of you and for divine guidance, and yeah, we are even more potent when we ask for help. Mm. And we sit in these circles and we talk, and when we say vala'au, we're supposed to come together to talk and to share and to uplift and inspire.
Yeah. Thank you so much for saying that, because asking for help, I think that is something women, can learn and need to learn. And like you said, it's okay. And you're right, we can do it all. We absolutely can. We're actually physically designed to do it all. And it's perfectly okay to not have to do it all and to ask for help. Mm-hmm. And it really allows you, I'm finding as an entrepreneur and a coach, if I ask for help with the things that may not serve me or may not be worth my time, it frees me up to actually use my creativity and become more and help more people. Yeah. And so it's like, teaching women to speak up if they're married with kids, if they need more help with that. Or, I think, I've done other, workshops, and women are like, I never thought about just asking for help. And it's all around us, really it is. And just letting yourself know it's okay to be, I think people feel like it's vulnerable to ask for help, or that it, you might get rejected.
And think about vulnerability, because to be gentle, and that was the teaching from my mother and my father, right? My mom is this cute Japanese lady who's 4'9". My father was this giant beast who was 6'2". His waterman, his arms were like this, he was a beast. He was a water guy. He had webbed feet. He was a trip, And I always thought that he was the strength in the family. I looked at it because physically, sure. He was the one that when, we'd get caught out in the surf, and he'd say, well, you're going to have to hold your breath because I can't hang on to you. And he'd go down and he'd hang on to the reef. And I was 3, and I'd hold onto his neck, and I'd watch the waves. He'd come up and he'd say, take a deep breath because we're going back down. And I remember there was 4 waves in this set. And we came onto the beach, and I saw my mom's face, and I was like, oh, she's going to kill you. And you realize that it's that quiet strength of that was too much. It's too much. That's not, and I didn't get it as a kid, but now as a mom, I'm like, yeah, I would have probably choked my husband. That was really scary, Yeah. But it is that strength that allows you to create a child and give birth. And, I was talking to my daughter because she's 11. It's like, look at all of the ways that a woman's body changes, And I was looking at the lines that where I'm laughing, and I now have lines, and my hands, how, it's like, I'm so proud of that. And why can't we celebrate that? It's beautiful, and to shift the consciousness of beauty being wisdom and change and laugh lines. And I have, Phoenix was saying, am I going to have freckles like you, Mama? I said, baby, that's sun damage, because I'm a mermaid. I'm not going to stop playing in the ocean. I love free diving with the dolphins, and I love, watching the manta rays when it's a new moon and all the plankton is in the water, and I'm not going to stop. That's that is church for me. That's when I feel closest to the divine, is, when I'm in nature like that.
It's a sign that you've lived, and it's a sign that you've enjoyed doing what you've been doing and experiencing everything in your life, rather than trying to fix and hide and poke and fill and tweak to become a version of yourself that isn't you necessarily. To own it and to age beautifully and gracefully.
choosing cleaner options. I didn't know that we should use organic tampons when I was a teenager, and now I know, and now I can show my daughter a better way. You know, I had to learn the hard way by getting sick and having cervical cancer and finding a naturopath doctor and having him teach me how to care for my body, because I didn't know, you know, and I had worked in a health food store. So it's like, the more you know, the more you want to learn, and then the more you want to share. And it just, that's the ripple. It kind of, you know, becomes global scale now, where look at all of the people that you're touching by doing your work. It's beautiful.
Clearly you've just got so much wealth of experience and knowledge, but not just through going to school, but just through life experience and through what you've been through and what you've experienced, be it through watching your dad take you down under the waves when you were 3 and scaring the life out of your mum, or just going through the different traumatic events that obviously you've been on too. It's just all of that life experience, which then, if you can channel that in the right way, is so healing for other people. Instead of holding it all in, if you can share and open up and talk about it, then that's going to help other people heal on a much bigger scale as well, I think.
It's so true. I had a man come into Pono, I think 2 years ago, Robert DeVink. I don't know if I'm saying his surname properly, but he came in and he ate at the restaurant. I didn't get a chance to meet him. He left me a note. I got back from Mexico about a month ago, and my manager, Chris, called me and he said, you might want to just pop into the shop. There's a very special gift here for you. And I said, oh, I love surprises. And I came in, and he had left a book, and it's called The Pono Principle. And it just took my breath away. And there's sacred geometry on the front. But in this, I haven't finished it. I am usually reading 8 books. My husband teases me because he's like, it's not normal to have that many books next to your bed. And I bounce, you know, between them. But he talks about sacred illnesses and how we're given an opportunity to learn, right? To rise to the occasion and use it as a teaching, you know, very much like the mud coming up, you know, and this lotus reaching the surface and realizing like, well, yeah, you don't get there without trial and tribulation and a little bit of pain and a bumpy road. We all can speak to that. We all have what we call eha. We all have some kind of pain. We have loss. We've endured something, you know, that's part of the journey, and you don't wish that on anyone, and yet when you come through it, you're forever changed. You look back and say, well, I wouldn't be who I am had I not gone through this sacred illness. And at the time, it doesn't feel divinely orchestrated. It doesn't feel sacred. It just feels like shit, and you think, God, how am I going to get through this? And this is why women are so incredible. Because we never give up hope, and we just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and we pray, and we call on one another, and we hold each other, and we go, and we inspire and lift when we forget how to open our wings and fly. We have loved ones that pick us up and say, here, it's going to be okay, you know? But it was so beautiful, because he just said, you know, mahalo nui loa, for setting such a stellar example of practicing pono in your restaurants by doing things with integrity. Aloha. And he talks about how he didn't grow up in Hawaii, and yet pono needs to be a universal word because it's like love or peace.
Can you explain that a bit more, just for the people that are listening, they don't know pono, if they've never come across it before?
Right. So in the simplest, it is to do things the right way. As a child, you're taught that pono is love. So everybody is auntie and uncle. There is no separation of family, or, you know, when Phoenix first got to LA, we were in the co-op, and she was saying, Auntie, can you hand me that? Because I can't reach it. And this woman said, I'm not your auntie. And Phoenix looked at her and looked at me and said, Mama. And I said, it's okay. I said, this is a chance to practice ho'opono. Send her love, send her kindness, because if you don't know, then you don't know, right? But it can be described as goodness, uprightness, morality, moral qualities, correct, proper procedure, excellence, well-being, prosperity, welfare, benefit, behalf, true condition or nature, duty, morale, fitting, proper, righteous, right, upright, virtuous, fair, beneficial, successful, in perfect order, accurate, correct, relieved. In Hawaiian we say, this is our Hawaiian state motto, Ua mau ke ea oka aina ika pono. The life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. So it depends on how you use it, but in the simplest way, and I love this because he does this beautiful triangle where he says, I win, others win, our planet wins, right? It's the common good, we're all connected. So everything that we think, do, say, all of our actions create healing, kindness, love. And so he talks about all these examples of how, his wife teaches him to be pono and his father, but they weren't using this word, but we all have a moral compass. We all come from family that taught us, that to be kind, to be humble, it's a choice.
And just loving energy is truly what heals the body and the cells, and expressing that to others, it heals others. And it's not just, I always tell people, I'm like, giving someone love is just not hippy-dippy term. It's like an actual scientific term. Like loving people, it's scientifically proved to change and shift the cells in one's body to heal.
Right. Well, look at Dr. Masaru Emoto's work, right? I was blessed to celebrate his 80th birthday here in LA. It was so fun. And he's saying, in order to be grateful, you have to live it, breathe it. And so, you're saying, sing. Like it shifts the whole vibration, and look at all the photos of this beautiful water where he's proven with science what you instinctively on a cellular level already know.
So I love your story for the two of you, because obviously you met by chance, but obviously it wasn't by chance, it was already mapped out. But so you met, we're just discussing almost 7 years ago now.
In the fall. Yeah, 7 years ago.
And you've obviously been there. You have an incredible, I think, history and connection. Just sitting with you can just sense it, and you can just pick up on the support, I think, that you have. And obviously you've been up and down through many situations yourself. You can just kind of feel the vibe between the two of you, and it's beautiful actually to just see. But it seems like you've really supported and helped, and obviously now, Andrew, you're really helping support Makani with the business, and it's thriving, and you're all over the place with best restaurants here and best bars there, and it's phenomenal to see. But how do you navigate that between the two of you when you're both full-time mums as well?
Very, very carefully.
It is such a balancing act, isn't it? I love Andrea. I'm very grateful, and I think that's kind of the first thing, is to appreciate who you have in your life. And that's when I puli in the morning, in the evening, I'm so grateful for my family, for my friends. And I think that when we walk in that place, then we're able to support each other. And that's what's so beautiful about friendships, right? Is they're just reflections, of the things that we admire in ourselves, and then the things that we realize, like, wow, I need to work on that, So thank you for showing me that, because we are works in progress, right? We joke about that all the time.
I joke about that we're works in progress. Even though we'd like to get to the finish line every day, we're works in progress. Yeah. What we haven't done today, we still have tomorrow. And I'd say also about our friendship when working together is, when we met, we're very different people that have so much to learn from each other. And I think the number one thing that we have is trust, and that is started from the beginning before we even worked together. So as neighbors, we learned to trust each other as friends, and then our children bonded together, and then we've been through many ups and downs and been able to support each other, and coming from totally different backgrounds, but always from a non-judgmental standpoint, which I think is very important, to surround yourself around people that you can learn from and that make you want to be a better person. So I would say Makani is, she makes me want to be a better person. She makes me want to spread all of the goodness that she's taught me that I may have not known anything about before I met her. From organic foods to farm to table to just treating others with respect and treating yourself with respect. Those are all things that are very important to me, but having a friend to support me in that way is very important. I think people are very quick to judge others quickly, and it's really nice to be in a friendship where I could say anything to her and I know I'm not being judged. It's just the truth. So whether it's in our working environment or in our friendship, I know 100% it's coming from a good place. It's coming from love. We may not always agree on something. We may have different opinions, but we're allowed to have those, and it always comes from a place of love and trust. So I think that's a big thing, especially in the work environment. She knows she can trust me 100%. I would never do anything from a negative place or coming from always from a positive place. So I think that's important in life. People are always ready to, what can I do for myself? What can we do to advance in this world? And it's coming from a different place in the sense of, I love, this is a team effort. What can we do for the world? What can we do for each other? What can we do for the restaurants? What can we do for the people coming in through the door to make the world a better place? So there's so many different things I can touch on, but from a friendship standpoint and working together, we never knew that was going to happen 7 years ago, but we knew there was a special connection from the beginning for sure. But working together, I think, has been amazing, and we can trust each other, and it's a group team effort.
Yeah, it's definitely made our friendship stronger, and yeah, I keep going back to the growing, and I think it's just because I've been in the garden so much, but you have a deeper appreciation for that,
nurturing and watering, and like you do with anything, you water your plants, you water your garden, you have to do that in order to watch it grow. And it's the same with friendships, relationships, business relationships. You have to put the time in.
So true.
Andrea, I like how you said that, spending time together has made you realize you want to be a better person. And, I think sometimes we forget, like, I will hear women say, oh, I have to go hang out with this person and I never enjoy it and I feel like I have to. And, it's like, why, I think calling attention to just, like you said, spend time with people that you love and make you feel good and that don't judge you, and to create that space, create those authentic relationships in your life with the women in your life, and teach each other and learn from each other. And that's kind of why we're here,
Well, I feel so fortunate because I don't have the time to spend with people that have any negative energy. I think at some point in your life, something happens and you just realize, why would I spend my time that is so limited with people that are going to put me down or bring any negative energy? Life is too difficult as it is. We should be surrounding ourselves around wonderful people that want to bring us up and want to bring other people up, like the night that we met you. So that was an amazing connection. So that night we had, I was putting on an event at MAKANI, and it was a great, wonderful group of positive women. And that was, I don't know, I think it was maybe 25 women, right? And the connections that happened that night is something that I enjoy doing. So for me, it comes naturally to bring these types of people into the restaurants, because not only do I want them there, but I know that's MAKANI and what she would like for her restaurants, and those are the people she wants in there. And so it was, I've got the chills because that night meeting you ladies there, it was just so, lack of a better description, just coincidental, but we all met on purpose that night, even though you weren't even there with the group that we were there with, and it was a wonderful connection. And so I love bringing groups of girls like that, or women, into the restaurants that support each other and enjoy good food, enjoy good wine, and enjoy good company, and we can share our stories like that. So part of me, before I started working for Pono or MAKANI always joked, she's like, I'd always be talking about the food because I believed so much in what she was doing and the food that she was making. And then I think I'll never forget it. I think there was a changing point when we were on the Big Island together, and there were some tourists there in some random place. And I said, "And
we were shelling.
We were shelling. Yes, we were shelling. So that's our happy place. We were shelling. We were definitely shelling with our kids, and we were shelling. And the tourists walked by, and I said, you haven't been to Ultimate Burger, which is MAKANI's first restaurant in Kona. And so I said, I cannot believe you haven't tried Ultimate Burger. And then I started talking about it, and it's local and grass-fed and how wonderful it is. And then she says to me, I don't understand why you're not working with us. And that was maybe a little bit of a turning point right there. I said, I just love talking about the food because I believe it, you know? So it's not all about like, it's an easy thing to talk about because I believe in it. So the food at either restaurant and anything that Makani is going to put her hands on, I believe in it.
Yeah.
And so I don't have a problem talking about it or getting people to our venues, because once they have the food, it's beautiful and it's special and it speaks for itself. And then what happens afterwards is always great. So then we get all these great groups of people in, and that makes it even more fun. So, and they're such unique spaces, both Makani and Pono Burger, that it's wonderful once you get the people in there.
Well, going back to that night that we met, we couldn't believe it because, well, of course we could, we just didn't see it at the time.
So serendipitous.
We had literally just decided with that day, we'd been recording to launch the podcast, and we'd done it at Teresa's place. We came back here, she dropped me home, and we were like, we should just go out for a bite to eat. We should just go and celebrate. And I've been watching Makani change from when it was Pono before over the last 6 to 9 months. And it had just recently opened, I think, maybe a couple of weeks prior to us meeting. And so we said, let's just go down here. And we went in and we sat, and we were just blown away by this beautiful crystal chandelier and just the layout. And we ended up talking to a couple of people. We sat there, had some delicious food, and just randomly saw this woman that I know, a mom from school, who's
a good friend of
yours. And I said, what are you doing here? She said, what are you doing here? So we have this conversation. She said, I'm with this group of people. And we finished our meal, and we ended up coming out to chat with you.
We love Brooke, yes.
So
we love you, Brooke. We love you, Brooke.
Yes, thank you.
Brought us together. We love Brooke. But yes.
And we were there celebrating for that very reason.
Wow,
And as we chatted with you, we just
it was just right, because we were just talking about what kind of guests we want, what we want the podcast to be, and literally we were like put in the same space as you guys. It couldn't have been more magical. And
You manifest.
Yeah,
I mean, this is what it means to ask.
Exactly.
Can you, I want to be of service, I want to do this blog, I want to help people, can you put these people in my life? And boom, you manifest it. And we were laughing about that because I drove Brooke and we drove everybody home. Do you remember that night? And we literally, I'm not a night, I don't stay up late. I used to when I was in San Francisco because I was in the industry, so you used to eating at 2, 3 in the morning at Grub Steak is no big deal. But now I'm like 10 o'clock. I'm like, woo, it's late, honey. Andrea was the last person to take home that night. And we were like, we could run a marathon. I don't run, by the way. I'm not a runner. But we were our cup was so full, and we were so happy and so inspired by meeting you, and just, it was unbelievable. And it was like, we need more of that because most people are walking around, especially women, and they're drained. My girlfriend who works in the hospital in San Francisco, she calls breast cancer the nice person's disease because it's like women are not saying what they need to say. They're holding it all in, and it's toxic. The same way, to Andrea's point, it's like, why would I spend my time with people who are negative? Life is too short. So you surround yourself with people that make you feel so full and elated and happy, and you feel like, well, I could fix all of it. What do we need? We just could clean up all the plastic and fix all right, let's do it,
Right.
And that's what we need, I mean, it's magic. It's really,
and to be there to pick each other up. It doesn't mean that we're always happy and positive.
Right.
We can be upset and we can have a horrible day, but that's what your friends are there for, to pick you back up and to help you if you need it. We are strong and we can do it on our own, like we've all said here, but it's nice when you can call upon somebody, no judgments. How are we going to fix this? Let's move on and let's get back to our happy place. Obviously not all situations can you do that overnight, but like we said, we're works in progress. It takes time and it takes good people, and that night was amazing. But at the end of the night, we literally were like, we can't go to bed. Let's go run around the block.
That's how we were too. We were just so excited.
And I think it was quite late at that time too. I don't even know. It was really late.
my husband was so upset. He was like, you could send a text. He was like, are you okay? And I was like, oh my God, is it really that? It's really late. I had no clue how late it was because we were just on cloud 9 floating around in
ethos.
Really
magical. Yeah, it really was. So what's next for you ladies then? I mean, you're just on fire
are you
right
really
now
asking?
in such a great way.
Revamping, remodeling, kind of reassessing Pono and Santa Monica, realizing that people don't eat burgers every day. My daughter and I are on a plant-based diet and going back to, do we need it? Not really. So we're not eating it very often. And so how do we shift the menu back to where we are, you know? And we want to eat Brussels sprouts and asparagus and beautiful salads and mostly things coming from the farmer's market. So we're working with a really beautiful feng shui master, and we're shifting energy, and you know, and then from there it becomes design and food and wine. We found another really beautiful woman, Jennifer, that I'd love for you to meet, to bring in sustainable wines and local, and again, more artisans that are doing what they're passionate about. So we're going to keep the burgers, but it won't be
the go-to.
Well, yeah, no, we don't want them to burn down the hut.
No. The hut's not going under the
We
burgers.
want to keep peace and love in the community.
We wouldn't be very happy if they took the burgers away.
No,
but
but just more options so that you're not leaving someone out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? Like you're just welcoming more people in the
Right.
family and the community. That's all. It's just an invitation.
we want to have something for everybody.
Exactly.
So, but we do have our followers, but we are going to
Tell us about the rum bar, because for those that don't know MAKANI Venice yet, I'm sure you will very, very soon if you haven't already come across it. But the bar itself is quite unique because can you tell us about the rum aspect and why you chose rum as the main kind of go-to for that bar?
So we're back at MAKANI in Venice. Yeah.
Jumping from Pono.
Yeah.
From Pono Santa Monica back to MAKANI in Venice, just so the listeners know where we're at.
And then we're going to Big Island Ultimate Burger.
Yeah.
So we'll go
Taking
do
you on
some
a little
shelling and
magical
snorkeling.
tour.
Yeah. Keep up. Field trip. The rum is, you know, most people when they think of rum, they think of, you know, all these places in the world, but rum was actually a big deal in the islands. It's quite old. We grew up with sugarcane fields and a lot of rum. And, you know, the old school was, you know, people would lob off the top of a pineapple and let it ferment, you know. So there's always, it goes back to these farmers, right, that have started hooch, moonshine, you know, all these different words. But rum, or the sugar, the ko in Hawaiian, is ancient. You know, the kings and queens used to have different types of sugar canes that they would use. You know, one would be for vitality and one would be for energy. And, you know, so it's very close to my heart, you know. And Ray and Connor have done a beautiful job on these cocktails that are storytelling, and I love that because it's a reflection of Chef Kevin's food too. You know, there again, you just have all these beautiful people that are doing what they love, and when you taste it, even if you don't know anything about rum or food, you appreciate it. And at one point, when I was looking across the dining room, I just kind of smiled, and someone said, "What?" And I said, "There's not one person on their cell phone."
It's amazing.
Wow.
And it took my breath away.
And that that doesn't happen anymore. It doesn't. Where
But
can
that
you go and
happens
see?
through alchemy. When people are really sourcing the most beautiful ingredients. And we had a guy come in and he brought some rums from Oahu. And it was so crazy because I did a blind tasting and I said, I can taste ulu, I can taste maya, the breadfruit, and he said, that's crazy. Because they're all growing in the same line where the sugar is growing. So it goes back to the biodynamic farming where you have all the different plants are represented and you can taste it in the sugar, in the rum. It's powerful. And it goes back to what you were saying, you know, we're all stardust, we're all connected, you know, and it really comes through in the flavors, you know. But again, you're taking something, and this is where the chefs and the artisans and the distillers all come into play, because these are ingredients that were almost extinct. And it's the chefs and all these people that went, we can't let this go. No. This is ancient history, and it's beautiful and it's sacred. So you pay respect and you water it and tend to it like you would a good friendship, right?
Yeah.
And you're there through thick and thin, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as my mama laughed about, you know? It's like it's part of it. And that's what becomes sustainable, and that's the beauty that comes out of it, you know, is deliciousness, really. kind of get to reap the rewards.
Well, where do your eyes go? The food, the drinks, or the venue, right?
Yeah. You've got it all going on there, actually. So
no one's
allowed to be on their phone.
Nobody needs to be on their phone. But they're actually enjoying the company too, right? It's a space where you're actually really sitting down to enjoy good food. The venue itself is
spectacular.
So, I mean, that's where we started our conversation, right? With the crystal chandelier.
Crystal chandelier.
Well, that's a perfect example.
It's unbelievable.
I'm not a chandelier gal, right? And some things went sideways with design and people, as you know, life happens, and you're presented with, you know, do you fall down and cry, or do you get up and dust yourself off and say, no, we're gonna, you know, make lemonade out of lemons, it's all good. And my husband was like, Makani, we can't afford a chandelier. And I said, yes, but this is sacred geometry. These are quartz crystals. And this is, you know, I had spun the bowl, you know, I had gone in and saged and done all this work. And what I was told is you're not going high enough. There's people in the building. So I was doing the space, and they kept saying, go higher.
Because it's underneath
so we
an apartment building, right?
Yeah.
It's on the ground floor. So there are apartments above the restaurant.
We opened a portal. I started to spin, pray, ask for guidance. And one by one, all of my women, who are all amazing healers, whether it's feng shui, light workers, one by one, hadn't called them. They all showed up at the space in the middle of construction. We were just kind of at a standstill. And this designer came in and she said, I said, what do you think about this chandelier? And she said, oh, I work for her. Her name's Kelly Wursler. I'm there for 2 more weeks. I can get you a smoking hot deal. And I just looked up and said, thank you.
Because it's not just any old chandelier.
No, darling, these are power numbers. These are hexagons.
Absolutely.
This is sacred geometry.
Yeah.
This is opening.
Well,
this is raising the vibration is what it is. It's when women come together and say, I want to do this. I want to do this work. I want to feed. I want to nourish. I want to inspire. And boom, in walks in the answer. And again, the message is ask for help.
Yeah.
Don't be attached to the how because you don't have any money, because you don't know how. It doesn't matter. You know, that's the teaching over and over again for me is like, don't be concerned with how it's going to happen. Just be grateful and know that it's all divinely orchestrated. We're so guided and supported, and just stay in that place of gratitude and love.
So do you think that would be the message? So any women that are listening that are looking to open their own business or to start, whether it's culinary or whether it's any type of business, I mean, is that the advice that you would give them? Or are there any other nuggets that you think would be really helpful to them?
Well, I think Andrea's point is surround yourself with good people, you know, and to bounce those ideas off, you know, when you know, so many people are very secretive about, you know, oh, don't tell them the recipe. And I'm always like, give them the recipe. And, you know, one of my guys was like, well, do you have that copywritten? And I was like, well, no, you want the recipe? And one of the women stopped me and she was like, honey, you know, do you make this for your husband? And I said, yeah. And she said, you need to teach me how to make that sauce because this is the key to a happy marriage. And I said, of course, girl, I'll give you the recipe. If it means that there's happy relationships out there and more love and more babies, yes, let's do it. But it was so funny because my mom and I were laughing, and it's like, I don't know if that's an island thing, because I gave one of my recipes to my best friend who's Italian. She won't give that recipe to anybody. She's like, oh no, she gave me that recipe, it's mine. Oh, it was a pumpkin cheesecake, that's what it was. Oh no, you can't have that. And I was like, why not? We all have different energy. In Hawaiian we say mana. So how I make something and how you make it, we're all going to bring our unique piece to the table because it's our hands, it's our ingredients, it's our kitchens. I have an antique wolf beast of a oven in my place in Topanga where I live, and it's like, it's no joke. She bites, she burns, she's a beast, and I have much respect for her. But you know, when you bake in there, I made some scones for my mother's birthday, and that was a perfect example. When they used to have a place in San Francisco called the Compass Rose, and I knew the general manager, and I was like, oh, you know, compliment the pastry chef, best scones of my life, you know, and if she doesn't mind, I'd love the recipe. She was so mad that the GM was friends with me that she literally wrote sugar, flour, there was no measurements, no instructions. She was so pissed off about it. And I thought, then my mom and I looked at each other and we went, huh, okay. And so, you know, it's just so funny because if you ask me, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to make it yours. And then what happens when I go? If I don't share it with you, then it goes with me. That doesn't make any sense. So whether, we make clay, we're making clay pieces for the restaurant, and someone was asking me about a technique or whatever, and I was like, I can show you, but I honestly don't know where that lavender came in. I put a white glaze on there. I don't know. Some kind of magic happened when it went into the kiln, and it probably kissed another piece in there. I don't know, but this is, you have to appreciate that it's a one of a kind.
Yeah.
And then now you're going to make it your version of that, and it's going to be beautiful because it's yours.
I love that. It kind of touches on the point where we were talking about, if you're someone wanting to start a business and you're feeling worried that somebody else has already done it, that's not true. You have your own version, your own gift that you can share. And we were saying, like, there's not enough of us doing that, and not enough of us being coaches or lifting each other up. And so to just put your own take on it and keep sharing it. And I love what you're doing, because you're creating this beautiful space for people to come together and eat and speak right and act right, kind of like all the things we were just saying. And so you're kind of building that community through like nourishing people with your amazing magical food. So it's really beautiful.
Thank you. But it's a choice, right? We all inhale and exhale, and you have to ask yourself, do I want to go towards the love, or do I want to go towards the fear? Choose the love, mamas. Choose the love. It's so much more satisfying and filling. The moment we worry or become fear, then we block. And it doesn't matter who you pray to or how you pray. It's just pray. Just be connected. Ask for guidance, and know that we're so supported. And the moment we fear, we cut ourselves off from that divine guidance. So just to love and trust, and that's part of, that's motherhood, that's starting a business, taking that leap of faith and knowing, like, I'm going to fall up and I'm going to make mistakes. I've started many concepts that have failed. You learn from them, and you dust yourself off and you say, I won't do that again. Tack it up there as, wisdom,
life
experience.
Yeah,
and you move on.
So to clarify, Andrea, because I obviously may have confused people, but the ones that have been so successful for you, not the ones you tried and failed at, but the ones that are currently so successful. Do you want to just clarify for everyone? So restaurants.
We've got
MAKANI's
first restaurant was is Ultimate Burger in Kona on the Big Island. That's where it all started. Then there's Pono Burger Santa Monica on Broadway and 9th. And then we have MAKANI in Venice on Rose Avenue.
Ultimate Burger is a perfect example of falling on your face. and it was so funny because I had been to hell and back. 2008, I had lost my 2-year-old Ava. My husband's mortgage bank had gone under. We saw things like Washington Mutual go under. It was like, what is happening, And I remember getting back to the Big Island, and I had filed a bankruptcy. And I remember it was so interesting. My attorney had said, it never occurred to me when we were doing, in the hospital, and they were saying, well, this surgery is going to cost this. She was on a ventilator, she was on a trach, she was on meds 24/7, nurses, had quite an education on the hospital system and the medical system. There's really no business in healthy, vibrant people, which was really a slap in the face for me. I'm very naive in that regard. It was really a tough awakening for me of like, wow, really? Huh. So I remember sitting, and I remember thinking, nobody cares why you're filing bankruptcy. They don't care if you have a strong moral compass, or you're a good person, or you live Pono. It's black or white on paper. You owe this and you can't pay it. And I remember the attorney saying, Lovey, you're never going to pay this off. You could pay the interest for 6 lifetimes. It's not set for you to win. Which just, I thought, wow, I'm really naive. I called my mom, I'm like, I have a lot to learn. She said, oh, don't we all, honey? And I was renting a house in Honolulu. My daughter, Phoenix, was 8 months old. I was breastfeeding. And I remember thinking, like, how much work it is to breastfeed. And thinking, how long can you do this? This is crazy. I am milk on wheels, girl. This is like, my boobs hurt. I'm tired. My husband and I don't see each other anymore. Like, this is not sustainable. And I remember my landlord was doing some yard work, and he said, so, and this is Kona, this is the Big Island. Everybody knows your business, right? He says, I hear you cook. And I thought, I said, I used to cook. And he said, I have a space. And it's just so funny how life happens, how things show up. And I thought I'd never cook again. Nothing tasted good to me after my daughter died. I thought, I'll never cook, I'll never feed people. I don't know what I'm going to do. And this presented itself, a little shop. It's very small. It's in a strip mall in Kona. And I remember talking to my husband, and I remember him saying to me, people in the restaurant world are crazy. It's high risk. Most of them, I forget what the statistic is, but most of them fail in the first year. And I remember calling my best friend, Brenda, and I just love her. She's the one that massages people's hearts when they get shot in San Francisco. Bless her for her work.
She works in the hospital in San Francisco, yeah.
And she said, baby, this is what you do. You cook, you feed people. She said, you fed me when Ava was in the hospital and you were homeless and didn't know, and you were still feeding us. And she said, well, I'll lend you the money. And I thought, I would never risk our friendship for you to lend me the money. I don't know that. I said, I just filed a bankruptcy. I don't have a pot to piss in. I'm breastfeeding. I don't know how I'm going to make rent. Like, oh, what? She said, we'll loan you the money. Go make beautiful food. Go nourish. Go feed people. It's what you do. And if I never see that money again, who cares? I still love you. It's not about the money. And it just took my breath away to be loved like that. And to, the most simplest thing. But if you don't talk to your friends, if you don't ask them, what do you think about Brussels sprouts? What do you think about whatever it is? After I came back, Brussels sprouts. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. We'll put Brussels sprouts on the menu.
Sprouts all day long, I tell you.
It's like, unless we have those conversations, how do you know?
Yeah.
And so we literally, it was so funny. We were cooking. It was a Asian restaurant. We were cooking burgers on a walk station. God help me. And Tracy and I would laugh, and it was like one of the happiest, most beautiful times. And somebody ran. I have a history of people running into my cars. This is why I have a new electric car. But I had an old Jeep Wrangler. You didn't even need a key to start it. You could just twist it and go. And I was at Costco, and somebody backed into it, and I came in and I said, Tracy, somebody ran into the Jeep. And she said, okay, most people aren't really happy about this. Are you okay? And I said, I'm fine. I said, but they're going to give us insurance money and we could buy a grill. And she's like, you're crazy. And that's how we bought our first grill. And everything is sourced there. The grass-fed organic beef comes from Pauilo, and Jill is amazing. She's a rancher that's been doing this for I don't know how many generations. And the tomatoes come from Kamoela, and Kapono will call me from F-Boy going, what kind of fish do you want, babe? And I'm like, ooh,
and the fish there.
Hakakui.
They've got the fish. I go there every time I land on the Big Island and every time I leave. Straight there. They open, I think it's 10:30. I'm just saying, you get on that flight, especially when you go from LA, you're starving by the time you get there. So we go there, and then on the way out, I think they open 10:30. I got to check that one. But we go there, have my beer, my fish, my burger, on our way. Feed the family, and we go. But it's amazing because it's all local farmers, and it's delicious. So that's where it started.
Well, and again, you take what you need. So it's one fish.
Yeah.
So actually, the fish leads nicely into your charity, because you wanted to share that with us.
Oh, there's so many. Okay,
so
you have
so many. I know, so
this
many.
was the hardest part.
What?
And even
Choosing
yesterday when Andrea and I were speaking, it was like, oh, how do you pick one? It's so difficult because there's so many. And this is what I love about the culinary world is people are always giving back. And, so I love Heal the Bay. I love that, when I first got here and, they grade the water. You have a report card where, this is where the technology is so fantastic that you can go and say, oh, well, Surfrider is an A+, and you can check all the local spots. And they're such beautiful advocates to make sure that the water is clean and safe and it's good for the people, good for the animals. And again, it's a win-win for everybody involved. And that's how it's Pono.
Yeah.
So, but we do No Kid Hungry. We just did, my daughter, you talk about divinely orchestrated. I had signed up to do Present Now. They help children and moms that come from domestic violence, and we helped with the school supplies to fill 537 backpacks. And my
But
daughter
came back to because she was at MAKANI at the event.
Right.
That's where it all started.
So
we
it all
started to
comes
talk when we
full
all met
circle.
that night.
Yeah.
That was a powerful night.
was, wasn't it?
powerful. It was one of both of our friends, but MAKANI knows her a long time as well.
Yeah.
So she started talking about her friend that's setting this up. You can talk a little bit more about it, but it all started that night too.
It's so beautiful because Megan was there, who has Alma, who then put us in touch with Present Now. And that's the thing, to be aware of when these dates are happening. And it was so funny because I said, well, it's happening in July and my daughter's riding horses, so it's perfect, I'll come. They canceled her ride. And she said, Mama, what are we doing today? And I said, well, I'm going to go help, with the school supplies. She said, I don't understand. I said, well, babe, some kids don't have what you have. And about halfway through, she goes, Mama, this is fun. And we want to do more of this. Originally we had done No Kid Hungry, and that was the response from my daughter and a bunch of our crew. They said, well, where are the kids? And it's so difficult because you want to help, and yet you want to protect them also. There weren't kids there, and so it's like, how do you get involved on a grassroots level where you get to have that exchange? So anywhere that you can teach me, I would love to be your student, because we need more of that. And when I talked about, how do I start a nonprofit, everybody went, oh my God, MAKANI, it's like, and again, it's that, people love to tell you no. And my parents didn't. Mom, I'm going to be a dive master. Okay. Mom, I'm going to be a yoga instructor. Okay. Mom, I'm going to be an electrician. She was like, okay. Nobody ever told me it was stupid, impossible, or no. And so when people tell me no now, I'm like, Right. I do like my dog Luna. The head goes to one way, and I'm like, yeah, I don't understand what you're saying, and that's just not going to work. So keep on going,
Nice
until you
try.
find the people that say, yes, and here we are with all the women that are saying, yes, let's raise the vibration, let's shift it, let's heal it, let's better ourselves, let's love each other, let's adjust each other's, crown when they're off kilter, and then not feel the need to go and tell everybody that, I went and did, but just to do it because it just, it's the same way I watch my daughter and she's picking up the garbage at the beach, and Mom, there's so much opala, and I said, yeah, and
looking after each other, looking after the planet, looking after everything moving forward.
yeah.
Ladies, it's been an absolute pleasure spending time with you this morning. It's been, I could sit here all day and just keep chatting. So
I could just stay here all morning.
But I think for anybody, we will put all of the information, all of the links. You've got some fantastic press, some fantastic articles out, a lot more coming up. We know you've been working super hard for that. But anybody that's never had the chance or opportunity to eat at Pono Burger in Santa Monica or MAKANI in Venice, then get there, because they really are spectacular food, magical environments. You don't need your cell phone to go there. Have a conversation.
Enjoy yourself,
Have some magical experiences happen while you're there enjoying yourselves. But we'll put all of that information on the show notes and on the website, so people can check you out there. We'll put all the links to your charities, the Heal the Bay and all the other ones as well that you're so passionate about.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if there's anything else that we can...
I don't think so. This has just been such an honor, and thank you for helping us live and create this vision.
Well, and thank you for having us.
What we wanted to share into.
It was serendipity, right?
It was, yes, serendipity. Well, wonderful. Thank you
so much.